let's keep going. The next topic, Internet of Things, right? So how digital connects to our physical. So in this area, we're talking about ThingWorx and Kepware, okay? So for those of you who aren't familiar, ThingWorx is basically a portfolio of solutions for basically providing an industrial IoT platform, okay? So it's available as a platform. We have ThingWorx customers who purchase ThingWorx and they are building out the exact solutions that they want to do, whether it's for their machines, connecting their factory, whatever it might be. But then also, as we'll talk about, sort of pre-configured ThingWorx applications built off the ThingWorx platform for customers. Okay, so that could cover, engineering information, could be manufacturing if we're talking about Industry 4, or maybe for service if we're looking at that sort of remote monitoring of products out there in the field. Okay. So on the engineering side of that, one of the good examples of this is ThingWorx Navigate. Now I know we've got some people on the call today running Windchill and also running ThingWorx Navigate. So the idea of ThingWorx Navigate, it's a portal to allow the wider enterprise to view and potentially participate in processes of the data that's based inside Windchill. Okay, so it's an out-of-the-box app to show Windchill information to the wider community. So you don't have to use the Windchill UI with all the capabilities there that it has for the experts who are in there all day, every day. It's this simplified portal to, I maybe want to view a, in this case, you can see in the screenshot, a part structure and query that. Maybe I want to view a parts list. Maybe I just want to grab a drawing out so I can build that. So there are a bunch of out-of-the-box ThingWorx Navigate apps for viewing, design information, documentation, maybe some change information. You can also build custom apps. We've done a few projects with customers where we built custom apps to meet their requirements. Actually, Johnson & Johnson gave a great webinar last year where they talked about what they'd done with their ThingWorx Navigate environment and some of the custom apps that they had built to allow their wider user community to interact with Windchill. Okay, so that's an example of an out-of-the-box side of things, primarily around the engineering space. Okay. But the idea of ThingWorx is that it can really connect to anything, okay? So there's a whole range of connectivity options for ThingWorx. So one of those is Kepware, which I mentioned before. So Kepware is basically a tool to connect to primarily industrial equipment. It's mainly things like PLCs that you'll see in the factory, but we do have some customers that are creating, big products that have their own onboard systems and PLCs controlling that, and they're also using Kepware to connect to their physical products out there in the field, okay? But then, if you're not building it that way, maybe you're building the code yourself, there's a whole bunch of other options for connecting into your devices, right? So there's this remote service edge, PTC calls it, around connecting to other products that might be out there in the field. If you're building your own, if you're building the PCBs and everything yourself, then there's a whole bunch of SDKs for building your own connectivity into that through all the different languages, VB, Java, C#, iOS and Android, as well as talking to things like databases and historians as well. Okay. Or you can develop your own, which I know there are some people out there that have done that, okay? But the idea is really to allow you to the idea is ThingWorx can connect to anything, right? Can be systems, can be physical products, whatever it needs to be so it can gather all of that data that you want, okay? So that might be products in the field. So the example of that is from Sysmex. Okay, so one of the things obviously is patient monitoring out in the field, once they're using maybe your equipment. I know there's lots of things that do that these days, right? So Sysmex is looking to take, use ThingWorx to enable that real-time visibility of how their machines are being used at the customer sites, right? So that could be, to basically reduce service costs, increase uptime, whatever it might be. But lots of people are wanting more and more to basically remotely connect to and understand how their products are being used so they can get better outcomes for both themselves and the customer, and in the case of MedDev, the patient. Okay. So on that front, again, PTC have done, I know as I mentioned before, we've got some customers who have built these solutions themselves using ThingWorx as a platform. In more recent times, PTC has released what they call the Connected Products Accelerator. So the idea is that this is a series of templatized screens to allow you to very quickly and easily connect up to your pieces of equipment that are out there. So you're not building all the screens to view all that information. That's sort of pre-done for you. You're really just connecting to the device, setting up the particular bits of information that you want to stream into ThingWorx. And then there's, again, a bunch of predefined charts, alerts, all that kind of stuff to show how that product's being used. So really the idea of this is to help customers who are interested in connecting to their products, out in the field, to basically make that deployment much quicker and easier, okay? So get up and running with ThingWorx, connecting to your products a lot faster, okay? On the manufacturing side of things, so this is our sort of Smart Connect operations, as PTC calls it, or Industry 4. We're looking at what's happening in our factory. Manufacturers are looking for understanding how the assets are being used. We're looking at things like, OEE, our efficiencies of our product. We don't want things just sitting there not being used. So really connecting into the factory, understanding how things are used, making sure that our quality is up to speed, that our assets are being utilized like they should be, that we're getting the best performance out of that, okay? So on that, again, there's a number of solutions that PTC have in that space rather than, as I said, you could build your own on the ThingWorx platform, and we have companies that have done that, but there are more solution-based options as well. So there's digital performance management, okay? So the idea of this is really to give a whole range of options. So we have in the middle here, we have a dashboard for monitoring what's happening across our particular factory or systems, whatever it might be. We can start to drill into that to see where our bottlenecks might be occurring, what the reasons for that. We can then start to look at prioritizing that through some waterfall charts to see, okay, well, what's causing the biggest issues there, prioritizing them. We can dig deeper into seeing what the causes of that might be. We can then implement changes and track that over time to make sure that the changes that we're making are actually improving that, and then confirm that through our scorecards, okay? So there's a whole bunch of tools in there to help essentially get your factories running more efficiently, leading to better outcomes, okay? Other tools inside there, so on the manufacturing app side of things, there's two options that are there. So there's the AMU, Asset Monitoring and Utilization tool. So this is really more of a smaller scale than the DPM I just talked about. So this is really to give you that sort of overview to make sure that all your assets are running, pop up any alerts and alarms, let you know straight away that things are going on so that they can be reacted to quickly by the people responsible for keeping the factory running, okay? So again, some examples of customers that are using the AMU in the MedDev space particularly, right? And sort of the benefits they're seeing from that, 20 to 30% reduction in unplanned downtime for the factory. And obviously that can have huge monetary value in reducing that, okay? The Connected Work Cell. So this is really more for getting that information out to the people on the shop floor who are actually doing the work, okay? So the idea is we can build up our work instructions inside this app. This actually does also integrate into Windchill. So I know we've got some customers who are using the MPM Link module, Manufacturing Process Planning module, and also its ability to generate work instructions. So those work instructions that are generated from the BOM from Windchill can also be brought into the Connected Work Cell as instructions for users to follow, okay? So the idea is we can use this for actually managing the execution of the jobs on the shop floor. So you can see here the operators are putting in what they've been doing. We can record times. This can also integrate into things like smart tools, where we might be wanting to record and manage torque settings on connections and things like that. Obviously important in things like aerospace and other industries where it's really critical like that. But then we can record that information and use that to help generate our quality information as well, okay? So, so basically provide the workers with that digital information, digital work instructions, as well as capturing, the actual operational execution data of all of that, okay? So that's the Connected Work Cell, okay? Other things, common thing is people want to understand, what's happening out there. So there's a statistical process control monitoring tool available within Windchill as well. Sorry, in ThingWorx, I should say. So we can again set up, connect to our equipment, set up our sensor values, what we're going to basically what we're interested in from our telemetry perspective, define our logic and rules around what is good, what is not, and then have the system generate charts for us, keep track of that over time, and start to alert us if there are any particular issues where we're starting to get potentially we're going to have some problems right before they start to actually affect production. So again, Phronesis is an example of that. So they're using ThingWorx, rather than having a whole bunch of little separated systems out, they're using ThingWorx to basically provide that overview of what's happening with their factory, right? So looking at monitoring production performance through dashboards with the aim to improve the OEE across the factories, okay? So again, we've run a number of webinars on ThingWorx and its capabilities, so on our digital transformation blog page. So really, if I extend out the ALM PLM digital thread that I showed before, we can add also the idea of IoT in here as well, right? So we're managing our requirements, we're managing all of our BOM information, we're handling all of that quality information as well. But as we start to get into ThingWorx, we can look at either connecting to the manufacturing side of things or connecting to the physical product that's out there in the field, okay? So through that connectivity provided by ThingWorx, we can then start to, take that digital model and use it as more of a digital twin to understand how that product is performing and behaving out there in the real world.